The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. Please check out the Night Dreams Talk Radio website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Also, if you want to keep our show free of advertising, just hit the donate button. Give a buck or two. Remember, all prior shows are always free to listen to. We at Night Dreams Talk Radio thank you for your support.
Check out Night Dreams website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com.
Listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Well, I try to be. We're doing like a Facebook Live here with my good friend James. You know, I've been in broadcasting, off and on since 1976. When I was in broadcasting, one of the things I was always really worried about was losing my job. Somebody sending a audition tape into the radio station. There's always somebody better than what what I was or whoever was on the station. So, that's one thing you're always worried about, job security in broadcasting. Well, anyway, after years of doing talk shows and playing Top 40 and all this stuff, I got out of broadcasting. I managed a chain of camera stores, got back into broadcasting. Then I retired and rode my Harley for a few years and opened up a couple retail stores and then made a little money and sold them and did things like that. Well, here I was sitting retired, and one of my friends I known for many years, Art Bell, called me up on September, I think, 14th of 2017 and said, "Hey, Gary, are you coming down to Pahrump on your motorcycle?" And I said, Art, I just don't, I got health issues. I don't think so. And he goes, "You know what? Why are you riding a motorcycle at your age? You're crazy. Get back into broadcasting." And I thought about it for a day. And then about 2-3 days later, one of his friends called me up. And then, and then Art called me back again. He goes, "Hey, I'll help you get back into broadcasting. Internet's the way to go." Well, I talked it over with my wife and my family, and, I started out. I made a big mistake. I started out doing a show on motorcycles. I'll tell you the biggest mistake I ever did. Even being a fan of virtually, Harley, Honda, you name it, anything that has two wheels, I loved it. It didn't go over. And then one day Art calls up laughing his head off. And he goes, "You know what? Have you learned your lesson?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Get back into the paranormal." So, for months and months, I worked really hard to, hone my craft because I was out of radio for a while. And, to get back into it, I had to, get into the mood, get into the swing. I, had to book all my guests all by myself because, I didn't have anybody working for me like when I worked in radio stations. I just did an air shift. I had an engineer. I had all these other people doing stuff for me. I had to do everything myself, from putting up the equipment, running the wires, hooking up the mics, trying to make it sound as good as I could. And as the time went on, my listenership started going up. I started investing in some real good equipment, servers. I run this show on 8 computers and 3 servers to do Night Dreams Talk Radio. I try to give a good quality show. I don't take much advertising in. I don't really want to. Now I am being carried on 7 radio stations. A couple more are coming on. They're going to do their ads and stuff, but the people listening on the internet are not going to hear any of that. And that's one of the agreements I made with my agent when he brings on radio stations, is that I'm going to continue doing a live stream, and it's going to be run my way. And if the stations don't want to do that, then they don't have to carry me, because I feel radio should be free. And you shouldn't have to join a club to pay to listen to archive shows. You can go on to www. Night Dreams Talk Radio and listen to virtually any show that has ever been done. And I also have recently, months ago, I should say, created a network where I have James' show on. I have the Paranormal Lawyer. I have Ronald Farnham is coming on. And then I have Eric Cooper, the S4 Radio. We carry his show. I do all this out of my own studio, at my own expense, pretty much. And I had another talk show host who claimed he was a talk show host literally get a hold of James, and then he started asking me, can I come on your network? Now, I have a lot of expenses when I bring on somebody to be on my network. They pay maybe a small donation of a few bucks a month. I understand, people don't have the money to go pay hundreds of dollars to do a radio show. And I wanted to give the opportunity to a lot of people that have talent that can't get on and be heard. And that's why we have these people on my network. But I do have expenses of producing the intros, carrying their show. I have to sit during the show, even if the host is across the country, which all of them are. And I have a board operator and rate all the equipment and do all this stuff to carry their show. Well, this one guy, wanted to be on my show so much that and he originally was a guest, and I kind of felt uneasy about letting him come on. But, I talked to James, I thought it over, and I gave the guy a chance. And by the way, James, are you still out there?
I'm still here, buddy.
So, as you remember, we talked about it, and then I brought Richard Spassoff on and gave him the opportunity to do a show. Richard said he worked in, radio stations as doing a host and all that stuff. After he was on, I found out he worked, one radio station that he had to pay to be on, and, kind of misled me. And it just started to be a nightmare. Have you ever felt used, James?
When? This year, last year, my whole lifetime.
Well, I sure felt really used with this guy, because, I have all the expenses, of trying to promote his show, paying Facebook Live. If you run a little posting on Facebook, only like 5% of your friends ever see it. Now, if you want more people than 5% of all your friends to see it, you got to pay Facebook money, hard cash, to promote your posting. And the more money you pay, more people see it. So I, out of kindness of my heart, because this guy didn't have much money, I started, paying, to promote him. What I'm getting at a point, is you do something for somebody, And then, this guy started posting up on Facebook that he was the host of Night Dreams Talk Radio. And I got a hold of the guy and I said, wait a minute, Richard, you're not the host of Night Dreams Talk Radio. You're the host of the Richard Blank Blank show on Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, not Night Dreams Talk Radio. And, and he goes, well, I didn't know the difference. I said, come on, you said you were in radio before. You should know all this. You don't sit there and take credit for a show that's not yours. And, then all of a sudden he quit posting that for a while. But then again, it started. Well, here's what happened, James, last night. And it was funny. I started getting a whole bunch of messages on Messenger last night. And it didn't stop all night long. People saying, well, I hear you weren't the actual host of Night Dreams Talk Radio, Gary. Or, hey, we hear you're going to another station. You're not doing Night Dreams Talk Radio anymore? And I go,
wow.
And I'm going, what? And then I get on my computer, I go in the studio and I open up emails. I had dozens of emails from all over the world. People, my fans saying, hey, I don't know, it started circulating. I don't know how, but they were saying, well, we hear you're not going to be doing, what radio station are you going to? What radio station? I'm not going anywhere. And then somebody sent me a link, and this individual had his name as Night Dreams Talk Radio host, with his name of my show. I really came unglued, James, last night, and still unglued. I mean, he's not the one who put all the sweat in and worked hard to get near the 1 million listeners I have on Night Dreams Talk Radio. And all of a sudden now he's the host of my show.
That would be something. You must have got a lot of emails. Did your server shut down or overheat?
No, but I'll tell you what, I was, before I started talking to you, I was sure getting nothing but emails and messages going off my phone. My wife kept telling me, turn off your phone, but it was addicting. Every time I heard that little ding, I had to look at it. And here's that person, sending me pictures of what this screenshot of what, this guy's Facebook page was.
So it said host. You're saying it said host of, and so then everybody thinks he's the host.
Oh yeah,
instead of you.
Yeah,
and here you've been the host all along. Yeah, I can see how that could set out a ripple effect, especially if you got you got close to 1 million listeners now. So yeah, one tells another one. Next thing you know, you've got a lot of bing, bing, bingings going on.
Yeah, well,
to say the least.
What it said on his page, Night Dreams Talk Radio host, Richard Spasoff. Okay, now how would you interpret that if you all of a sudden go on somebody's page and it says Night Dreams Talk Radio host?
Yeah, it's words say what they say. I mean, if you didn't know no better, you would think, oh, well, Gary must have stepped down or left or something, and this is the new guy or replacement. That's what it would look like when you're reading it, right?
Well,
yeah.
That's how I interpret it. Now, that was earlier last night. Then a couple hours later, I sent him a couple messages. I said, what is going on? You're not, the host of Night Dreams Talk Radio. You had your own show on my network. Then all of a sudden, a couple hours later, he posted in there, that Richard Spasoff show is changing radio stations. He inserted that in to try to take the heat off. So he put in there afterwards, the Richard Spasoff show is changing radio stations soon. Now, he didn't have that on before that because I have a whole bunch of screenshots that people were sending me all night.
You know what that reminds me of? Remember that election when the presidents ran and it said one of the presidents won there out of Chicago and he didn't win? The headline said, remember that? Back in, when was it? The 20s or 30s or something? You know what I'm talking about, Gary?
Yeah.
Remember that famous headline? I was